If you are a family who is new to homeschooling and trying to navigate all the questions of what you have to do to be successful, then this video is for you. Hi, my name is Dr. Blake Willard, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Homeschool Mastery Group. I help parents to understand and create the type of homeschool programs that they both want and need for their children's long-term success. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through getting started homeschooling and answer some of the biggest questions that hold parents back from being successful. So let's get started. All right, so in this video, we are going to talk about how to start homeschooling successfully. This is an answer guide for new families. Not only are we going to answer some of your biggest questions about homeschooling that you may have getting started, but we're also going to define exactly what homeschooling is, just to clarify some of the confusion that often comes into this homeschooling space. So let's jump in and get started. First off, I get a lot of questions like this from new homeschoolers. Hello, everyone. We just started homeschooling last week. It's already been so amazing, and I'm very happy with my choice. Fantastic, right? So you're off to a good start. You're feeling good about your decision. Here's where the trouble comes in. I just am overwhelmed, wondering how can my kids still go to college and maybe high school if they choose to later? Do I just keep track of everything? Is there state testing I take them to? I'm still very new, so any info like this would be greatly appreciated. So this is clearly a new parent to homeschooling, and they don't fully understand their rights, their responsibilities, and the opportunities that they have through homeschooling. So we're going to try to address, for people like this, the answers that you need so you can move through this process smoothly and successfully. First off, we need to define exactly what homeschooling is. Homeschooling is, in its most basic form, a curated education that is led by a parent or guardian, isn't answerable to any higher authority with regards to the implementation and approach, and can be individualized based on the unique needs of each child, and is typically brought within the family's primary residence. So let's go through that point by point real quick, just to clarify exactly what homeschooling is. It's a curated education. That means the selection of the content to be studied, curriculum, pedagogy, schedule, the standards are all decisions that are made by parents as the primary educator. Just to put it simple, if someone is deciding these things for you or telling you what to do and you don't have a say, then it's not homeschooling. Homeschooling allows you the freedom and flexibility to create the education you want for your children. It's led by parents or guardian. The parent is leading the educational process, even if they're not teaching every subject. So this is an important caveat. Just because you're leading everything, you're creating or you're implementing, doesn't mean you have to do all the direct instruction. It means that you're pulling the things together, not only what is to be studied, but also ensuring that your child is either taught, tutored, or equipped with the resources to be able to attain the desired educational outcomes. You're setting them up for success, and nobody else has a say that's going to ultimately decide what you can or can't do. It's not answerable to any higher authority regarding implementation or approach. So again, the buck stops with you as the parent. There's no such thing as an accredited homeschool. We're going to get into that in one of the questions later. But just to clarify, true homeschooling, to be true homeschooling, the parents have the complete authority to craft every component of the educational experience. So think of yourself as the CEO of your homeschool, just like the CEO of a company. There may be some regulations that you have to submit yourself to, some things that you still have to follow that are a part of the rule set laid out by your state, but it doesn't ultimately determine exactly how you go about doing it, okay? And then number 4, you can individualize. Parents will find that both the needs and interests of each child may differ, and so they can adjust accordingly to best suit the learning of each child. Now, you don't have to create a whole new program for every child, but the fact that you can, this ability to individualize for the needs of your children, for the learning disabilities or the interest, all the differences that go along with each of our children, this is one of the strengths of homeschooling, okay? It could mean different content, different expectations, different schedules, a whole different approach, but it doesn't mean you have to do that. It's just another option that you have. And typically it's brought about within the primary residence. This just means that this idea of home and homeschooling can mean the literal home, but it's not bound to be done in any one place, right? A lot of parents travel while homeschooling, and they can do this because the idea of home has more to do with the family around which the home centers, okay? So these are the basic 5 components of true homeschooling as we're defining it. And based off of that, let's answer some of the biggest questions that may be holding you back as a new homeschooler. Now, these are real questions from parents just like you. So we're going to go through the top 10 questions and hopefully make your homeschooling process a lot easier, okay? So first off, what do I need to include for the notice of intent? So when it comes to registering your homeschool, we want to do it legally, right? We want to do it in the way that is set out so we're not breaking any rules and we don't have to worry about anyone coming in and bothering us. So the big misconception when it comes to filing your notice of intent to homeschool, it's going to be hard, or that you have to provide every detail of your homeschool plans and submit it multiple times. Right? If you're already stressed out about getting started and you feel like there's this big thing waiting over you, it may hold you back from just jumping in. But truth be told, the process is usually very simple, and it's only intended to give the state notice, right? Letting them know that this is something that you are doing. Because in all 50 states, parents have the right to homeschool, meaning it's not something the state can take away from you. So they don't have the opportunity to deny you just because they're not happy that you've decided to do it. Okay, they just want to ensure that you do have some plan to provide a basic education for your children. So I'm going to give you an example from my home state of Nevada, because it's my home state. And a lot of you who may be watching this video, this is exactly what you're looking for. So check it out. This is the entire notice of intent to homeschool for the state. It doesn't have to be a complicated process. In fact, more states than not that require this, it's very simple. So again, you're basically just filing the basic information about your child that you're homeschooling, your information as the parent who will be teaching them, the address that you're going to be living in or teaching them from predominantly, and your signature. And then this is the part that for some people might sound scary. You're going to create an educational plan. This is actually a very, very simple process. You're not laying out every single detail of homeschooling. You're just giving them the bare minimum to let them know that you will be learning and you'll be meeting their basic needs. And in their educational plan, they want to see that you are doing some basic subjects that the state requires you to teach your children. English, including reading and comprehension, writing, mathematics, science, and social studies. Now, all of these subjects don't have to be studied every day or even every year. You just need to let them know that you are going to do that. So I have created this for families. It's as simple as a one-page document that says the student's name, who's going to be doing the teaching, and what we're going to be learning, and they will be setting that they will be achieving the standards laid out in our homeschool program. You don't even have to tell them what it is. That's it. You're just giving them the basic information. Give your school a name if you want to. Let them know the area where you're located. Sign, and you're done. It's as simple as that. You could be done with this whole process in 15 minutes, and then you're not going to hear from them again. So in the state of Nevada, you only have to do this once per child unless you move, or if you go back to public school and then decide to homeschool again. So really, it's a one and done. Most people who decide to homeschool and do it successfully, this is the only time that they ever do it. The only, again, difference would be if you decide to move. So real quick, I want to point out the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. This is for everyone in all the other states. This is a very helpful resource to go to. Jump over to their website. I'm going to load it real quick here. Check out homeschool laws by state, and then click on your specific state. Again, I'm going to click on Nevada here, and it's going to tell you the basic requirements that are required for you. You can click on here to get more details about what your state requires. You'll see states in red are high regulation, states in green are no regulation, and then most states fall somewhere in between. It doesn't have to be hard, but you are allowed to do it no matter where you live. Okay, so regardless of where you live. Okay, second question. What's the best online curriculum for homeschooling? Okay, so the big misconception here is that there's one perfect online curriculum that works for everyone. There is no one size fits all when it comes to homeschooling. And I do want to say there's a difference between school from home, think COVID, and then actual homeschooling. In schooling from home, you're not creating the school program. You're not leading the school program. You're just the place where your child is logging into school and completing the work. So an online academy that calls itself a homeschool is not really a homeschool, like legally and technically. They're using the word, but it's a completely different thing. If you're truly homeschooling, it needs to fall under the definition that we gave earlier. Otherwise, you're a part of a school and you don't even need to file a notice of intent. For some people, that may be all you want. But for most people who choose to homeschool, just knowing that there is no one program that's going to be a perfect fit for you. I do make recommendations in the Homeschool Mastery Group, in the group that I lead, for ideal curriculum and ideal approaches based off of the individual needs of your family. But again, You need to know you in order to know what you need, and you need to know your children in order to know what they need. And therefore, there cannot be any one size fits all approach. In fact, for many of us, that's why we left the traditional school. The one size fit all just isn't the best fit for most families. So, moving on, question number 3, what about my child's need for friends and socialization? Okay, socialization is like the trigger word for most homeschoolers because most people who are new to homeschooling or who are critical of homeschooling bring this up as a primary critique. So here's a big misconception. Homeschooling is going to isolate my child and make it hard for them to make friends. This simply is not true. Socialization is going to be what you make it as parents. First off, you get to be the first ones modeling to them the appropriate ways to interact with others in the world. And it starts right in your home with the family. So with other siblings, with you as their parents, understanding right and wrong, how to communicate, how to interact, how to apologize. These are all super important skills. And then on average, most homeschoolers are involved in up to 5 extracurricular activities. And this is because homeschoolers know more than anyone else how important it is to surround your children with like-minded individuals who share your values, who are into the same sports or activities, who your friends can bond with. And the good thing is you get to be the one supervising it. So whereas in a classroom situation, you send your kids off, and most of the day, they're really not being supervised, especially out on the playground, and bad stuff happens. Other kids are not the model or the hallmark of quality socialization, right? So you get to put them around people who are modeling for your children the kind of people you want them to grow to be and share those values together. There's a lot of places you can do it: co-ops, extracurriculars, community events, churches, lots of places that you can go to make sure your child is receiving the socialization that you're concerned about and that they need, and they will find it there. So you don't have to worry about that. Number 4, what is a homeschool co-op and how can I join one? So one of the misconceptions some people have is that a homeschool co-op is just like traditional school, except led by other parents, or that they need to join a homeschool co-op. You don't, okay? So this is an option. Like every other component of homeschooling, it's a can do, not a have to. And co-ops are cool because people create them around particular styles of learning and different pedagogies, around particular values that they share or things that they want to do with other like-minded individuals. So you can really pick and choose the community and group that's a good fit for you. A co-op is a group of families that share typically resources, classes, activities. Sometimes people will meet together and you'll teach one skill that you're strong in and another parent will teach another. It is a collaborative effort of parents coming together, but ultimately your child is still your responsibility and you're taking the lead, even if you're authorizing someone else to do some of the teaching or sharing with your children. So again, it varies super widely based off structure, but if you're looking to join one of these, I would recommend honestly checking out some different Facebook groups, because usually local communities will create a different group that you can find. Do a little research in your area. Typically, based on your values, you're going to be able to find a group of like-minded homeschoolers exactly where you are who want to get together and share time and share resources and share teaching, not only to take the load off, but just to build community around this really good thing that you're doing with other homeschoolers. And then number 5, do I need an accredited homeschool? Misconception: I must have an accredited program to make sure that my child's education is valid. I hear this from new homeschooling families all the time. Here's a big one, though. Here's a big clarification. There's no such thing as an accredited homeschool. Anyone who tells you otherwise is selling you snake oil. It's just not true, because only institutions can be accredited. They have to be audited and evaluated based on widely applied standards. And this doesn't exist for homeschooling. By definition, you're not an institution, you're an individual family. And what you're doing is unique to you. That's one of the great things about it. You don't have to constrain yourself to a particular rule set or particular program, especially when you find that it's not working. So no accreditation doesn't take away anything from the quality of your homeschooling or the opportunities that it creates. If you're truly homeschooling, you've done all the things that we've talked about in that definition, and you start to understand how much you can offer your children, you'll find accreditation doesn't matter. And one caveat about accreditation, even like a public school or a private school that's accredited, that doesn't necessarily give your child more opportunities or less when it comes to getting into college, if that is an area of concern. If you go to a college that's not accredited and let's say you could study nursing, your nursing degree will not permit you to be licensed as a nurse, right? That's why accreditation is important at a college or university level. But In primary and secondary school, it doesn't matter. It doesn't hold you back from application and admission into any other school or job or any other opportunity. So anyone who tells you otherwise, again, they're selling you snake oil. It's just not true. And then number 6, what if I want to put my kids back in school? Do I need a transcript? Okay, so here's the misconception. I have to keep detailed, formal transcripts just like a school does. You don't, right? And we're going to talk about this. But first off, there's a lot of reasons why a family might want to put their children back into a traditional school, whether public or private. And here's the encouragement to you. Just because you start homeschooling doesn't mean you have to commit to it for the next 12 years or that you have to do it forever, right? For some families, I have found that homeschooling makes sense for a particular season. So I suggest that you evaluate your family every academic year to decide if homeschooling is still the right fit for you and for your children. And that way you don't have to stress out about once you jump in that you're stuck and you just have to do it forever. Circumstances change, and sometimes those changes require us to think about other options, which means that you could obviously jump back into school. And so, quick clarification, again, you don't need to keep formal transcripts. The truth be told, most schools, before they place your child in a grade, are not going to do it based off of the records that you give them. Even if they were transferring from one school to another, this was true in the private schools that I ran as well. Just because they got good grades doesn't mean we plop them right in at the same grade level where they came from. We're going to test them to see where they are and if they're actually performing at the appropriate level to meet the standards that we've set. So all that to say is that's going to happen regardless of the type of records that you keep. So the records that you do keep, it's really going to be important for you and for your child's future. So I recommend setting your own educational standards for each grade and tracking your child's progress as they reach those standards. This is your way of knowing that you're actually heading in the right direction and being successful in the goals that you've set and defined success as. So keeping grades, it's not even required. You can keep grades. You could do pass fail. You can do based off of whether or not your child is reaching certain academic outcomes that you've determined beforehand. Basically, you can assess your child in more than one way, and there is no right way. Grades are kind of an arbitrary so that other people can put a definition on your child of who they are based off of this. But we all know that grades don't fully articulate the big picture of who a person is. So here's what I recommend doing. Not necessarily instead, but in addition to, if you decide to keep grades and as you keep records and maintain your child's transcripts, I recommend keeping what I call a living resume. It's so much more than a report card, because what you can do, think about it. A lot of times when people apply for a job, the time when they think to update their resume is when they need a job. How much better is it to track all of your accomplishments throughout the process so that when you're ready to report to a potential new employer, you can show them everything that you are, everything that you've done, and really demonstrate the successes that you can bring to their company, right? This is the same thing when you keep a living resume for your child. Those major projects and reports that they do, keep all their best work in one place as they've reached academic milestones and accomplishments that you've set for them. Keep record of that and just track their progress. If they've done physical presentations, maybe it's too big to to put in a portfolio. Take pictures, document the things that they've done. Have letters of recommendation from people that they've been mentored by, from people that they've tutored under, from people that they have done internships with. And this is such a powerful way to say, dang, look at this high qualified student that I have who is ready to go out and conquer the world, whether it's college admissions or a job. This is just a better way to give your child a testimony of all that they've done rather than just a report card, which really answers so little. Number 7, will colleges accept homeschoolers? There is the misconception that homeschoolers have a harder time getting into college. Actually, it's the exact opposite. A lot of colleges are actively recruiting homeschoolers today because of the independence and unique learning experiences that they have. Colleges are looking for more than just grades today. They're looking for a diversity of experiences that show a student is qualified not only to get into their program, but to see it through to graduation. And the cool thing is homeschoolers graduate at higher rates, which is one of the biggest metrics that schools and universities are looking for admission. So schools cannot discriminate against homeschoolers any more than any other form of education. Because your state recognizes homeschooling as a formal means and mode of instruction and education, so too will colleges and universities, okay? And again, you're building that resume. You're showing that they are so much more qualified than the average student who has so many less experiences that they can testify to. Number 8, Is there any state funding for homeschooling in Nevada or maybe in your state? So big misconception, I have to cover all the homeschool costs out of pocket with no financial help. And for a lot of states, this isn't true. Some states like Arizona have limited funding options like educational savings accounts or scholarships for homeschoolers, and it's worth researching state-specific programs that could help with the cost. But the biggest misconception is that homeschooling is going to be really expensive. And the truth be told is it's not. Okay, so homeschooling on average per student is about $700 to $1,800 per year per child. So that's the average cost compared to public education, which is between $12,000 to $15,000 per child, right? So less than a tenth of the cost for high quality education that supersedes and far, exceeds the typical public education. So it doesn't have to be expensive. And again, this is just an average. Some people do it for less, some people do it for more. But the point is, you don't have to spend a lot to give your children high quality education, because it's really the format and the people that they're with that allows for so much success. So you're wondering if there's funding. If you live in Nevada like I do, most states do not have public funding at this time for homeschoolers. So there's nothing set aside like a scholarship or a grant that you can get from the state. However, you can still create an educational savings account on your own that's not provided by the state. And that's something that you can do tax-free. So you can put it in a savings account where it's building interest over time. And the money that you spend on anything educational can be used and spent completely tax-free. So this is still a really great benefit that I recommend anyone considering homeschooling looking into. Number 9, how do we homeschool when both parents work full-time? This is a big issue for a lot of families who are trying to make homeschooling work, but maybe their financial circumstances or just their work circumstances make it hard to think that this is going to be possible. So a lot of families who are in this situation think homeschooling is impossible unless one parent stays home full-time. It's just not true. Many working parents successfully homeschool by using flexible schedules, online learning tools, co-ops, or even hiring tutors. Homeschooling doesn't have to look like traditional school hours. It can be customized to fit your family's routine, even if that means working early in the mornings or later in the afternoons and evenings around your work schedule. The thing is, I help a lot of families create homeschooling programs that work for them in 2 hours or less per day. And a lot of the work can be done independently, especially as you have older children. So really, it's going to depend on your circumstances. What I recommend you do is find out what kind of resources you have available and what kind of support system you have. And then check out the Homeschool Mastery Group, book a consultation, and let's figure out what kind of program you need so that you can adapt it around the needs of your children as well as your needs as a working professional. And the last one, number 10, how do I handle judgment from others when I pull my kids out of public school? What about socialization? Again, we're reiterating this because it comes up so often. Here's the misconception. People will think I'm hurting my child's education or their social life by homeschooling. This is the honest truth. Who cares? So if they're not willing to help you, to support you, or to fund you, then their opinion really doesn't matter. We've already talked about how socialization happens in so many ways, and homeschooling offers a lot of better opportunities for quality socialization that is lacking, frankly, in public school or in traditional schools. But the truth be told is, you're always going to have critics. It doesn't matter what you do, homeschool, public school, private school, anything. People have opinions about your children. But if they're not a part of your team, part of your tribe, and helping you raise successful children, then I have to encourage you to tune them out. Truth be told, sometimes this happens in the family as well. In-laws, relatives, they all have an opinion. But again, make this your standard. If you're not willing to help me, right, this is what we've decided. We're homeschooling. We think it's the best. Do you want to help me? Are you going to support me? Are you going to fund me? If not, frankly, I don't want to hear from you, right? And it's okay to just let people know and to set that boundary, because if they're not there to help you, then what are they there for, right? We want to see you be successful. And that's, again, part of what the Homeschool Mastery Group is about, adding a support system to families. So here's the truth when it comes to homeschooling. It is what you make it. It can provide the freedom and flexibility to work for any family and accommodate any constraint. It can help you reach any educational goal that you set for your children. And it could prepare your kids to be successful in doing, honestly, almost anything. But you have to define what you want, meaning clearly articulate your goals. or what you hope to achieve through homeschooling. Be honest with yourself. Talk about your needs, talk about your desires, and start to aim for that. And that's going to be the only way that you get the kind of program that you both want and need. Okay? And then you're going to need to create the program that moves you in that direction. It's goal-based. So here's what I recommend first. If you're thinking about homeschooling, if you're walking through this process, before you start homeschooling or somewhere towards the beginning, make sure it's the right fit for you. Understand your needs and your constraints to help you create the homeschool program that you need. I recommend doing a self-evaluation. Answer some key questions, and I actually have one, this 4-page self-evaluation that's available completely for free in my START Homeschooling community. Again, you can join this community. There's over 146 other families that have joined this program, and there is a complete set of classroom instruction to help parents learn how to get started. And this self-evaluation is available for you for free. So you can download that, take that self-evaluation, find the answers that you're looking for, get started. Check the link in the description, and you can not only get that self-evaluation, but a whole set of courses that help answer the first questions parents have getting started, and a community of people that are there to support you. So here's what it looks like. If you found this helpful, again, complete set of coursework and a thriving community of homeschoolers where I give away all this for free. Okay, so I want to see as many homeschooling families be successful as possible. So that's why I'm giving this away. But if you need help creating and leading the homeschool that your family both wants and needs, I seriously recommend that you check out the Homeschool Mastery Group. Again, the Homeschool Mastery Group is my premium program where I help families articulate, design, build, and implement the homeschool programs that they want and need for their family to be successful. It's over $13,000 in value. There used to be a $1,497 admission fee that I'm waiving right now. So if you get in now, it's a good time. It's only $97 a month, and you can cancel at any time. You get all the resources, all the coursework, all the program, as well as live coaching from me every single week. So if that sounds like a home run, I definitely recommend you check it out. You can book a call. There's a link in the description below to evaluate and craft the homeschool program that you need that's stress-free, successful, and sustainable. So if that's something you're interested in, again, check the link below. I hope answering these first most important 10 questions has been helpful. I hope that we can connect further, and I look forward to hearing about your success with your family homeschooling, the kind of homeschool that you want and need, reaching your goals and seeing your children be successful. God bless.